So somebody reached out to me and they were asking about why they keep getting ghosted after they do an interview on PhD programs. And I'm going to tell you the truth of what's going on is that the people are losing confidence in who you are. Um, and this is really tricky for me to say this because I've been on both sides and I have a voice that a lot of people say is it doesn't display confidence in any sort of way. So I had this problem for a very long time, and I still have this problem because I have my body character or my body language is I don't display confidence, but deep down inside I'm an extremely confident person in the sense that I'm honest about things and I tell people who I am, right? Like, and I think that is an extreme version of confidence of emitting a lot of my flaws and things like that. So, but to some people, that doesn't come off as like this person is confident or they know what they're doing or whatever, right? And so that's what's going on. I think is um, there's something that's happening with this sort of confidence signals that are displaying. So I think two ways to get around this um, is to ultimately show that you're extremely confident and competent with what you're doing, right? So what do you do? How do you do that if you are applying to various different jobs? Well, if you're for example, one of the biggest things with these interviews are test scores. If your test scores are not absolutely like the highest that you can possibly do, retake those tests, the GRE, the GMATs, those kind of things, retake them to get like an outstanding standardized test score. So that's going to be your biggest thing. In the United States, it's all about testing. I didn't realize that until I was here. That's the whole basis of almost all education. It's kind of a weird, um, sort of phenomenon, I guess, here is it's very much testing based, and that's what they look at is the scores of those test scores. So that's your first thing. And then your second thing, I think, is to you are displaying kind of a superficial understanding. This is my guess of what's actually going on with somebody. So, what I think would be good for you when you're applying to a place and you get that interview is really study what somebody has done or a couple of the people have done, like really deeply study what they have done and speak to them specifically, like a rich, super rich understanding of not just kind of superficial, but let's get into some of the problems that they're experiencing and how you can leverage their work, right? I've always said um, the more that you can get into this, right? The whole career, any career, it's all about demonstrating to other people that you're not going to be a waste of their time. And so if you can uh, help them before you actually get there and figure out how you can help them in some sort of way, right? Like actually do some work for them before you even get there. Like you get an interview and then you actually do some work and you gather some data based on what they have done and extend what they've done. You actually go out there and really have something that is impressive. Um, you extend. So in your interview, you maybe write a 5-page paper about how you about a particular research topic that they have. Like the goal is to make other people's lives easier. And if you can display that, right, it doesn't matter if you're at McKinsey and this large consulting company at Deloitte or whether it's PhD programs. It's all about trying to figure out how to make somebody make their life easier, right? So if you come into it with an original idea, right? Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you didn't do that on your application, but you come into it with an original idea where you built on somebody else's idea, and you read one of their research articles and you built on top of it, and you give them this. You say, "This is what I've been working on over the last couple of weeks. I just want to start a conversation with this. Hopefully, this might be something that you might be interested in. I'm looking forward to really taking a deep dive into this. And here's some data that I also collected. It's kind of a preliminary pilot study, but this might be something that might be of interest to you." And the goal is to, you know, so I've done this a lot, right? Like I think we all do this. I've been in this. Is you basically do all of the work, and then you're asking or trying to find somebody to join and participate on your project, right? So it's like a senior faculty member, for example, or a junior faculty member. By the way, um, I would get some signals. Sometimes the senior faculty members are not going to do a heck of a lot, but they give you a lot of insight, but they're not going to do a lot. The junior faculty members might be actually willing to do stuff and help you out, but they are probably going to be floundering a little bit, right? So you kind of balance, try to figure out that right combination. Maybe you find a junior and a senior person, or you talk around, you kind of get some insight in who the junior person has worked with or the senior person has worked with. You get some sort of insight in terms of who they are and if they're easy to work with, and those kind of things. I think looking for those signals is important. And then you really speak to it, right? Maybe you do that to two people. And it's just, I mean, if you did this, you would be way out of the park, right? And I'm I'm thinking out loud, like, damn it, like this is the stuff that I should be doing more of. And if you do this, you're gonna nail it out of the park. And I think it would be so crazy to see this, because nobody does this, that you will land that position like no problem. um, it would come across extremely well, and it would be, you would have a very good shot. And here's the thing. Okay, say you didn't land that one, well, then you've got a half-baked paper that you work and you customize for somebody else, right? That comes along and you work and customize on it and you build it out. And then you see if they want to participate, right? And you keep kind of doing that. It's kind of finding the right home, and you're using this as sort of feedback of how they're going to interact with you, right? If they're a complete jackass, um, when you do this and they shut you down and all that kind of stuff, like run away. You don't want to be part of that nonsense, anyways. They're going to be a jerk, right? You want somebody that's actually going to be nice and is going to work with you and, say, hey, this is a really good idea, like all of those kind of stuff. There's a lot of jerky people out there. You don't want them in your life. That ain't going to be fun. It's not going to be a fun experience. Um, so just find people that are going to be, you know, really willing to accept that. And that's how you sort of build that relationship. You do these little trial things, right? Where you're like, well, let's work on this little thing, this little brief little thing, see what somebody says. Um, and if they shut you down, you're like, oh boy, I don't want to deal with them. But if they have a nice receptive thing, then that's pretty good. Now, the ghosting thing is extremely common in the sort of PhD academic area. Extremely common to get that. It's kind of a polite way to say that they're not interested, or they just genuinely are busy. Um, but it's probably more of the former. And if that's the case, use it as a signal too, right? Like that's a signal of them how this relationship is going to be. You don't want to be part of that anyways, right? You're trying to actually build a community. If they ghost you or are not part of your life, like, dude, that's a strong signal. You don't want to be part of that anyways. Like, the problem is not what I'm saying. The problem is not you, it's them. And you have to really accept that. right? It is not you, it is them. Find somebody else to be willing to do this and work with them, right? Actually be a human being, but go above and beyond, go crazy, do that, like, do this little research report thing, and see what they do, see what they say. You might actually learn something, it might be fun. And it's also going to be extremely helpful in terms of the process. So hopefully this helps you out. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.